I didn't raise my voice when he said it. Didn't blink. Didn't even let my fingers tighten around the folder in my lap. My father stood in the doorway of the lake house I'd grown up in, sun bouncing off the water behind him like some cruel spotlight, and told me, with a little laugh, that it belonged to her now, his shiny new wife, his fresh start. He tapped the deed on the counter with a smugness so bright it practically reflected. "It's already hers," he said, as if my mother's ghost wasn't still in the walls. As if I hadn't spent summers fixing the dock while he chased his mid-life delusions. I just smiled. Slow. Controlled. Look again. But the story starts long before that. Back when I still believed him. When I was a kid, my father felt 10 feet tall. A protector, provider. The man who taught me how to read lake currents by color alone. The one who promised the house would be mine someday, so you always have a place to come home to. Back then, he meant it. Or maybe he meant it the same way he meant everything, as long as it was convenient. The shift came years later, after my mother died, and he remarried a woman who looked at the lake house like it was a prize she'd won, rather than a sanctuary she'd joined. At first, she played sweet. But sweetness that practiced is always temporary. How I learned the truth. I noticed it in small things. The way she measured rooms with her eyes. The way she commented on updates she'd make if the property were hers. My father humored her, chuckling, brushing off my raised brow. But then came the message. A text on his phone I read purely by accident. Her. "Just ask your lawyer to transfer the deed. Your daughter doesn't need it, I do." Him. "Already working on it. She'll get over it." My chest didn't crack. It calcified. I didn't confront him. I didn't cry. I didn't even tell him I knew. I simply started planning. Shift in mindset. Revenge begins in silence. My father always underestimated me. He thought quiet meant weak. But quiet is a blade if you know how to sharpen it. I checked the old trust documents my mother created before she died, documents he had conveniently forgotten about. The lake house wasn't just an asset. It was covered under a survivorship clause that transferred ownership to me automatically when she passed. He couldn't give away what he didn't own. All I needed was proof, signatures, and a lawyer who hated bullies as much as I did. I gathered everything quietly, filed quietly, had the deed reissued quietly. By the time my father's lawyer tried to transfer the house to the new wife, the system spat it back out with a single beautiful phrase: "Owner already established." I held that revised deed like a loaded weapon. Execution, the final move. I waited until they invited friends over for a small lakefront celebration. Her idea, obviously. A little pre-victory parade. I arrived early, folder in hand. She wore a sundress too young for her and a smile too confident. He looked proud beside her, like he'd just secured her a trophy. When he said the words that the house was hers, that I could visit any time, she rested her hand on his arm, already imagining where her new furniture would go. I opened the folder, set the papers on the counter between us. "Look again," I said. They didn't understand at first. People like them never do. But then he saw my mother's signature, saw the original trust date, saw my name printed in bold at the top. His expression fell in layers: arrogance, confusion, recognition, fear. Hers collapsed faster. "You can't do this," she hissed. "I didn't," I said. "Mom did." I didn't need to raise my voice. Truth is loud enough. Climax, the moment everything broke. The party guests heard the shouting from outside. Hers, not mine. She demanded he fix it. He demanded I be reasonable. But the papers were already filed. The county had already updated ownership. The house was legally, irrevocably mine. All I said was, "You both should start packing. I'll give you an hour." She stormed off to gather her things, muttering curses into the walls she once planned to repaint. My father looked at me like I was a stranger. Maybe I was. Resolution: what freedom sounds like. When their car finally backed down the gravel drive, the silence that followed didn't feel empty. It felt earned. I walked out onto the dock, the same boards I'd repaired with my father years ago, and let the quiet settle around me. Not a victory parade, not revenge for revenge's sake, just balance restored. He gave away something that was never his. I simply reminded him of that truth. And as the lake shimmered under the fading sun, I whispered a single thought into the wind. Some inherit houses, others inherit spine.